I heard the Lord say this morning that many of you were called, and you knew you were called. You went into ministry. Some of you even experienced an audible voice of God calling you. And so you went into your purpose. You started to run your race. You had focus. You had passion. There was power behind every step you took, every move you made. But then somewhere along the lines, you got distracted because you wanted that marriage so bad. You had to be with that person. You wanted that relationship so badly. You wanted acceptance from that person, from that group, from those individuals so badly. You needed to be famous so bad. You needed to be accepted and approved of so badly. You needed to be a part of that organization. You needed a big ministry. And so you got off track. You got off the race. And as I'm speaking right now, I'm sure it's coming to your mind, what hindered you? What was that thing for you? You thought you were too old and you really needed to have kids. What did stop you from running your race and running it with speed and obeying the truth of what God has spoken to you? He didn't speak it to them. That's why they didn't get it. That's why you were rejected. That's why you were misunderstood, because God gave you that truth. It wasn't their truth, it was your truth. And because you refused to follow, you weren't chosen. But the Lord will say to you today that He has redeemed you and you are His. He's saying that He's still calling you. And it's not too late. That He's calling you His. That He's claiming you. That He's calling you by the same name that He called Jesus Christ. But the problem right now is that you don't look like Jesus. And I'm not talking about looking like Him on the outside, being a carpenter or what have you. Man looks on the outside. I'm talking about on the inside, on your heart. You don't look like Him. You don't sound like Him. You're pursuing the things that He pursued, healing the sick, casting out devils, raising the dead. But you're illegal. Because what you fail to understand is that everything that Jesus did, those outward things came out of who He was in here. And so anybody trying to do that stuff without looking like Him is illegal. The Lord is saying, you haven't taken up the family business. That fountain filled with blood poured out from Emmanuel's veins, that's the blood poured from the Father through the Son. He's saying, you don't look like me. You don't sound like me. And so there are 4 things that He shared with me that He's looking for from you. And I'm going to share those things with you right now. The first thing is to humble yourself. And so what I want you to do is get a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, a pen. I want you to sit down in silence, clear your mind, take a deep breath, and ask God, what area on the inside of me is not humble before you? Because notice, it's about being humble before God, not before man. You're not being humbled under the mighty hand of man. That's what you've experienced, and that's why you got off track. Because the opinions of men, what man said you should be doing and how you should be doing it and where you should be in your life, in your ministry, when God had a time and a purpose and a season for everything concerning you. So that's the first thing. You need to ask Him, where am I not humble? You listen to whatever comes to your mind and to your heart, and you just write it down. You can go back and look at it later. The next thing is pray. Prayer is a conversation. Notice in a conversation is 2 ways. I'm not just talking to you, but you get to talk to me. And so again, you're going to take your piece of paper and you're going to ask him, what do you want to talk to me about? And write down everything that comes to you. You can go over it and look over it later on. I know some of you are thinking, well, how will I know if it's God? How will I know if it's me? He'll make sure that you know. In doing this action, taking this step that I'm telling you to do, I promise you that if it's not clear in the things that you wrote down, today, tomorrow, later on this week, when you're out and about, when you're doing whatever you do, something will hit your spirit. It can come in the form of a commercial, a song, something you see, something someone says to you in a grocery store, a complete stranger, but it will hit your spirit and you will know that it's God responding to you. Third thing is seek his face. Now this is one of the most important steps to take, because if you can't grab his countenance as he's sharing these things with you, then this word will hurt you more than it will help you. And you won't be able to do the last thing. It's very, very important that you're able to see his eyes as he's sharing these things with you, so you can get the heart behind the message. And you see his eyes, you seek his countenance, you seek his face by your imagination. And so, Paul talks about casting down vain imaginations. If we do that enough, then we can recognize the holy ones. And so, I want you to imagine God's face and ask him to show you his countenance, so you can look into his eyes and see the care he has for you. See the reason he has called you by name. See the reason he is redeeming the time for you. See the reason why he hasn't given up on you yet. There is still time for you. If you do the last thing, which is turn. And that means turn back. Turn back and do again what you were doing at first. Ask him to help you to remember the person you were at first. How you were doing things at first. You have to change your mind so you can change your direction. The Greek translation of the New Testament word repentance isn't referring to regret or shame or guilt. What it means is to change your direction, to make the decision to turn and go a different way.